In today's world, it's a given that we're working with people from all over the globe. But with all that amazing diversity comes a really big challenge. How do you make sure your message lands exactly the way you mean it to? So let's break down how to really master cross-cultural communication and turn that challenge into a massive strategic advantage. Just think about it for a second. That email you shot off this morning or that comment you made in the team meeting, did it actually land the way you intended with your colleagues in, say, Tokyo or Berlin? Or did the real meaning, the nuance, get lost somewhere along the way? It happens more than you think. Because here's the thing, in today's business world, getting this right isn't just a nice to have skill. Nope, it's an absolute must have. It's critical for survival and for growth. And we're not just talking about soft skills here. This stuff has a direct, measurable impact on the bottom line. When you get it right, you prevent really costly misunderstandings. You build the kind of trust and psychological safety that leads to incredible innovation. And you keep everything running smoothly and efficiently. Honestly, it's what keeps your best people engaged and wanting to stick around. So, if this is all so important, why is it so tricky? Well, a lot of the time, the biggest hurdles are the ones we can't even see. So let's pull back the curtain on some of these invisible barriers that can totally derail a conversation before it even gets started. We can pretty much break down the challenges into three main buckets. First, you've got the obvious stuff, linguistic barriers, things like idioms, slang, and just bad translation. Then there are the perceptual barriers, which are basically the unconscious filters and biases we all have. And finally, you have the powerful unspoken language of nonverbal cues. Okay, one of the biggest traps we fall into is this right here, the assumption of similarity. It's that quiet little voice in our heads that says, deep down, we're all the same. And while it might be well-intentioned, it's actually really dangerous because it makes us skip over the hard work of truly understanding, and as a result, we completely miss major differences in how people communicate. And then you've got this one, ethnocentrism. This is the belief that your way of doing things, your culture's way, is simply the right way. This mindset is a total communication killer. It makes it impossible to adapt, to compromise, or to show any kind of genuine respect. It just shuts the whole conversation down. And finally, of course, there are stereotypes. Think of them as lazy mental shortcuts, these fixed, oversimplified ideas we have about an entire group of people. The second we rely on a stereotype, we stop seeing the actual unique person right in front of us. We end up talking to a caricature, not a colleague, and you just can't have a productive dialogue that way. Now, to see just how high the stakes really are, let's look at a famous real-world example. This is the classic story of what happens when a huge global brand gets the message disastrously, horribly wrong. Okay, so back in the 60s, this was Pepsi's big slogan in America. It was energetic, it was vibrant, it was all about youth and living life to the fullest, and it was a massive success. So naturally, they thought, hey, let's take this global. And this is what happened. When they translated it literally into Chinese, it became Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the dead. Yikes. In a culture where respecting your ancestors is a deeply serious and important tradition, this wasn't just weird. It was seen as bizarre and profoundly disrespectful. A total disaster. So the takeaway here is absolutely crucial. Translation is not the same thing as localization. You can't just swap out words and call it a day. You have to adapt the meaning and the feeling for the local culture. This whole mess proves exactly why you have to have native experts check your message and why respecting local customs and taboos is completely non-negotiable. Okay, so we've seen the problem, we've seen the stakes. Now for the good part, how do we actually fix it? Well, the great news is there's a really clear, actionable framework you can use to build this critical skill. It's really a three-step process. It all starts with awareness. That just means learning about the differences. The next vital step is to foster genuine respect for those differences. And then the final and most important part is to actively adapt your own behavior to bridge those gaps. So let's break down those first two steps. Awareness is the what. It's the intellectual part, studying different communication styles, learning about nonverbal cues, things like that. Respect, on the other hand, is the how. It's an attitude shift. It means practicing empathy, really trying to see things from another point of view, and consciously challenging your own judgments. And that brings us to the final stage, which is all about action. See, it's not enough to just know about and respect differences. You have to do something with that knowledge. This means actively adapting your own style, Maybe that's speaking a bit slower or avoiding slang, and working together with your team to create new, shared ways of working that are effective for everyone. And when you really put all of this into practice, the results are incredible. You go way beyond just avoiding mistakes, and you start to actively unlock the full, amazing potential of your team. And the payoff is huge. It all starts with building stronger relationships and real trust. That trust, in turn, creates the safety for people to share diverse ideas, and that's where you unlock true innovation. And of course, when everyone is on the same page, you get consistent, reliable execution of your strategy, no matter where your team is in the world. Ultimately, this is the entire goal. It's not about managing diversity like it's a problem to be solved. It's about leveraging it. It's about taking what could be a source of friction and turning it into your organization's most powerful strategic asset for creativity, innovation, and growth. Now, if you want to go a little deeper on this, I seriously recommend watching Erin Meyer's explainer on low versus high context societies. It's an absolute game changer. And if you found this helpful, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks so much for watching.